Hello and welcome to another episode of Harmonic Habits. If it's your first time here, welcome as well. I have an amazing guest today. My guest is somebody who has started many companies and at some point learned how to do it right. He is a fantastic business person. He's a fantastic father, and he's somebody who I listen to, respect, and admire. So this is Kirk Purai. Did I say your name right?
That is correct.
Okay, perfect, because I was wondering about that. And then he is also the CEO of Carte Financial. So Kirk, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I currently lead a company, Carte Financial Group, which is made up of two primary companies: Carte Wealth Management, which is a wealth management distribution firm, and a risk management firm, Carte Risk Management. And I'm married with three kids, and I've been doing this for some time now, probably about 20, 25 years in this industry, and really passionate about helping families to their financial future.
It's such a noble goal to do that. There are a lot of people struggling, a lot of people suffering. So thank you for that. Now, what was the
Sure.
specific incident, Kirk, that had you want to start in business?
So before I started Cart, I was a financial advisor, and I was quite successful at being a financial advisor. But what I realized is that as a financial advisor, I could only impact so many families, very few families. I probably had a clientele of maybe about 400 or so families, and that was my full capacity. So I figured to be able to help more families, the best way to be able to do that is to start a wealth management company, and then I would be able to train and develop independent financial advisors, so we will be able to impact many more families. Currently, we are the families that we have touched and that we're supporting is about 25,000 Canadians, and we're able to, with each Canadian family that we work with, we're able to really work with them, get to know them one on one, and get to know their desire for their financial goals. And the financial market and the just the financial planning market in the whole, it's kind of like snake and ladder. For every five steps you take, you may get a ladder and you go up 2 levels, then you get a snake and you drop back 4 levels. So by working with an independent financial advisor, you're able to navigate yourself through that game of finances.
Yeah. And you were saying today has been a crazy day with the market, right? So that's one example.
Yes, so today is a very volatile day in the market, and I mean, we don't typically get involved with the day-to-day movement of the market because in our firm, the portfolio managers do that. But that is an example where by having a financial advisor or planner, you're able to understand your risk tolerance, and by understanding your risk tolerance, that will give the client the ability to achieve their financial goals with the least amount of risk. So if the financial goal is 8%, why take the risk of 25%? And if your financial, so that is what a proper risk management profile will an advisor will help with.
That's amazing. You said a few things that are very key before, and I really want to point them out. So, one thing I noticed, you said you wanted to help more people, and you became very successful because you were focused on the mission of being like one to many. Like, how can I serve more? How can I serve more? And so that's one thing I wanted to point out because that is something I've noticed with people who've become very successful is they're looking at greater ways to be of service. Um, Something else that you had said. Actually, my mind just went blank there. That's amazing. I'm going to go on to the next question.
Sure.
Okay. So one of the things is how do you attract people into your pipeline for customers and clients, or even for your independent, um, I don't consultants,
Our independent consultants, yeah, our financial
financial
our
planners.
financial advisors, yeah. So the structure of our firm is our clients are financial advisors, and then their clients are the Canadians,
Hmm.
consumers. So how we attract clients is, Cart's recognized as the number one investment dealer in Canada by the Investment Executive, which is an association for the industry that we're in. And we're also recognized by a media association called Wealth Professionals as also the number one distribution firm in Canada. So what that means is that we are the best of the best when it comes to serving independent advisors and keeping them independent and giving them the access to technology, compliance, and all the tools that they would need to grow their business. And so our advisors are attracted to Carte because when you're the best, you attract those quality advisors. So our biggest thing or our biggest I would just say risk tolerance for the firm that we look at is ensuring that we're hiring the right clientele in the sense of the right advisors, because we'll have 100 advisors at the door and we'll take in maybe 20. So we're very selective of the advisors that we choose at Carte, and that the reason for that is because they become the representation of the organization, and we're very focused on the financial plan and the financial focus on the financial planning and not selling products and not and putting the investors first. And the only way you can put the investors first is to do a proper financial plan that we can first understand what their needs are, understand what their goals are. How is it that you're going to purchase a financial product, if you don't really know where it is that they're going financially, and how is it that they are? So we're very picky there, and then how our clients, which is our advisors, choose their clients is that it's very unique, meaning that each client typically manages about 300 or so families, relationships or less. So they get to that cap very quickly. So they are also very selective of who they choose as a client, because you can only serve at the highest level so many individuals, and so it's typically through referrals or through association. You have some advisors that we do session for certain niche market. So a lot of our advisors focus on particular areas, be it the professional market, be it the family market, be it, women professionals, the senior market. So there's different elements that an advisor would focus on.
Yes, you can only be effective by being selective, right? Yeah.
Yes, because in
What?
the financial planning world, it's a wide area. Like there's so many things. There's insurance, there's stocks, there's mutual funds, there's segregated funds, there's estate planning, there's risk management planning, there is like just the management of divorce. There's a designation called the dealing with divorcees. Some advisors, all their clients are clients that recently got divorced, because that's a special area that specializes in that area. So there's so many, it's such a wide area where you need to specialize sometimes in one to be really well. You have some advisors that focus on a legal profession or trades profession.
Mhm. How do you narrow down what's your criteria for like an advisor that you would take and somebody that you would definitely not take? You're like,
Yeah. And how we would do that is it's when you meet with someone, it's first the interview, and it's understanding where the advisor is in their career, and what it is that they're looking to go, and what is their understanding of what financial planning is. Like, what is it that they want to do for their clients, and and what's their view on compliance, what's their view on just who they are, how they want to run their business. So I would say it's more of a feel, and we have a questionnaire that we go through, and the desire of the advisor, because that, I guess, that's really the most important part, is the desire. Like, what it is that what's their why for being in this business. Very important. Like why are you here? And if you're here to make money for yourself, that's a disqualification for the organization. It has to be somewhat in the realm of being of service.
mhm. Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I'm sitting here listening to you, and all I keep thinking about is when you said the word compliance, I was like, this company has integrity all over it, and it brings me to thinking about you and your development. And did you start out like that, or was it your passion and your drive that built you into the person that you are today, who can run a company that has strict compliance and purpose?
I I think I think once, and this is for everyone, once your intentions are right and your way of being is to be of service to others and really truly solve a problem that an individual has, and you're very clear on your intention to solve that problem, then you will develop. I mean, I started this business 25 years ago. I completed university, could not get a job at the time, and then I started off as a sales representative as an insurance agent. Then I got my CFP as a certified financial planner, and and the rest is history. But even when I just started, I didn't know very much. I was probably really young, like early 20s, and most of my clients were in their mid 40s or 50s. That's just the area that I landed. And so they knew I didn't really know a lot at the time, but it was because my intention was correct. My intention was to be of service, to help them. So even if I didn't know, I would call someone that know, bring someone to the meeting that knows, and let them know I don't really know, but I'll find who knows for you and help them out. So it was, the first couple of years was really tough, but after that, people in our industry really connects with integrity and honesty, because you know most Canadians unfortunately do not spend a lot of time understanding financial planning, understanding money, understanding, you know just a lot of them don't even know what it is that they want financially. What does their goal look like? So I think every client first buy that individual to ensure that all they want to know is make sure that that person is looking out for them. That person has, and then once they have that, then they will blindly almost sometimes follow that person with your suggestion, with your recommendation, with their philosophy, so it's a really big decision for a consumer to choose a independent advisor, because it's all about trust.
Hmm.
And 20 years from now you could be ahead of the game because of it, or not because of it.
Exactly. How often do the clients of the financial advisors pay attention to their portfolios? And is there a for you? Okay, I'm going to rephrase this. For you to be the number one company in Canada for this, there's probably some kind of checks and balances that you have in place for your advisors to make sure that their clients are happy as they go along. Is that like what do you have to make sure that they're helping and not
Sure.
just getting money?
Yeah. Now, in the organization, our we're a sales organization, and our biggest team in the organization is our compliance team. So, we have a very strict, and this is quite normal in the financial services industry, very regulated industry. So every transaction is checked by a branch manager, we call them, and also a compliance officer, and then the chief compliance officer. So everything is checked a few times before anything goes live, making sure that integrity is in place. And what we do a lot of Carte is a lot of training on training on what needs to be done in any given situation. The financial services industry is so it's a so there's so many options, there's so many choices, and every choice leads to a different path. So many products. I mean, as a distribution firm, we have partnered with all the banks, all the insurance companies, all the mutual fund companies, all the trust companies. So, as on a distributor, we probably have maybe about 200 and some partners that we have aligned with. So being an independent advisor, that consumer could have a potential 200 and some companies that they could buy one of the products for, right? So it's a lot of compliance on our side, and that's how we govern it.
Yeah, and I like that you built it that big to make it easier for people to select the right products for their clients, right?
That's right. We're one of the probably, I mean, most of our competitors are public companies. We're probably one of the very few private firms remaining. And when you're private, it's um, it's easy to be independent because we don't have our own products. It's the product, we're partnered with the financial services industry. So it just depends on that client needs that determines what product is selected for them.
Hmm. So I know nothing about the question I'm about to ask, okay, because this
Sure.
is new for me. But is your intention to stay a private company, or do you ever intend to go public?
At this moment, our intention is to stay as a private company. Yes.
Okay, and because I'm new in this whole conversation, um, what is the benefits? Like you just said, the benefit is that you have all of these, like you're independent, so you can have all of these different products. Do public companies then have to have their own, or it's just you no longer have control anymore, and other
Yeah.
people have that choice?
Yeah. So with some of our competitors that are public, they will have their own product. They will also have all the partner products on their shelf as well. But if you have your own product, there's a greater desire to sell your own product because it's more profitable, right? If you sell somebody else's product, part of that profit is going to that other partner. So even though with our competitors, they would have other products on the shelf, it's just a matter of which one do you choose. And it's up to the advisor to choose the right. But no, there are some partners that are taking products off the shelf because they're just one thing is that they're trying to simplify, I guess, their processes, and by doing that, it's just easier to sell their products than the competitors.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. And like the higher margin too, right? That is an attractive thing for a lot of people, but it doesn't always bring that integrity with it.
Well, yeah, it's huge margins, right? Like you're instead of getting paid as a distributor, you're also getting paid as a manufacturer,
Yeah, exactly.
and the
So
margins are a lot wider being a manufacturer.
definitely, definitely. So who have your mentors been or your coaches?
No, I've had a ton of coaches. Growing up, I've always had a learning disability. When I was in school, I probably wasn't good at any subjects or anything like that, not knowing it at the time. But when I got older, I realized that it was a learning disability. So I'm used to always asking for help and always trying to figure it out on my own. So I've had, oh my gosh, so many mentors. Like when I just started this business, I was mentored by, I remember one individual, Ian Roberts. He passed, but he was, I was his executive assistant at the time, and I just followed and shadowed him. So I was able to have the good fortune to have a good mentor, a good person with good intentions and have integrity and trust to be able to follow his ways. Because if I got somebody that wasn't, maybe I'd have followed those ways as well and then figured out it afterwards, right? So I just saved a lot of years by doing that. Then I hired a professional coach, a sales coach, because I just couldn't sell, right? I got a degree in business and sales is my thing. So, I mean, and that when I say sales, communication, effective communication. So I had a sales coach for that. Then I had a life coach. Then I've done humorous programs for personal development. You and I met at one of those programs, and even at with all the successes that we have had, I still have three coaches. I have a personal coach. I call her a life coach. Then I have a business coach, and then I have another business coach. So I spend probably 3 hours a week just in coaching.
Mhm.
And it's so important, right? Because it helps with the decisions that I'm making for myself as a person, for my family, for my business, but most importantly, for the people we serve, which is ultimately the customers.
Yeah. It took me many, many years to find a mentor who I felt was in alignment and integral with my values. So I'm so happy you found one early on. It makes a huge difference.
Yes,
Yeah, and for you to be the level you're at and to continually stay focused on your intentions, having a coach is key, right?
it is. At 3 hours, I don't have time for lunch most of the time. I don't know how I find the 3 hours, but it saves you 20 hours.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really
And
does. Yeah.
again, I'm going to say how freaking honored I feel that you have very little time, and yet you're here with me for our audience. Um, very grateful. So you being the family man and the businessman and stuff, I want to know what tips or advice you would have uh, to bring harmony and happiness into business or into family.
Know who you are and know why it is that you're doing what it is that you choose to do. And every day I wake up, I'm asking myself, how can I deliver 10x value for the people I serve, which is our independent advisors and ultimately our clients. And that's it really. It's not really complicated. It's really knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And then for the family side, it's similar thing, like knowing your family, knowing what it is that you want to achieve with your family. What are some of the big things. I heard this analogy once and I live my life by it, where if you had a fish bowl, I think it was Stephen Covey that said it, and the most important things are the big rocks. You put that in, then you put the pebbles in, then you put sand in, and you put water, and then you can fit it in, as opposed to if you put the water in first, which is the easiest, the fun things that we like to do in life, the partying or the going out and the entertaining, whichever form of entertainment that is. That's the water, as opposed to if you put the big rock in, it's going to spill, right? So it's just a matter of the analogy behind that is knowing yourself, knowing why is it that you're doing what you're doing, and by knowing that, then start identifying what's the big rocks, what are the pebbles, what is the sand, and what is the water, what those things are, and then follow that. So it's a simple process that I follow. But in doing that, though, I do have a great family life as well. My wife and my three kids, they're in their teenagers now, and it's really important because really, really, even though I love Carte and because it's my fourth child, it's my fourth little baby, but family is first, right? And because I have a great family and a great structure, I'm able to do what I do at work.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like your wife and your kids have your back and you've got theirs, and your company as well. It sounds like you have your company's back and the people there have yours. Like you really have created a great system in both areas.
Yes, that's the only way. It's harmony. You got to have harmony at home to have harmony in the business. We have about 30 employees, and you got to make sure that there's harmony there as well, right? They have their family as well, and we have about 800 advisors that we serve across the country, across Canada. So it's a lot of lives that are impacted.
Yeah. Yeah. So you being out of balance could really, like you personally being out of balance could really impact, that's over 1,000 lives.
That's over a
Plus
thousand
all
lives,
of their clients.
plus about 25, 30,000 clients.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. How do you feel about having a responsibility that big?
I feel good and scary and terrified at times, but as long as you're aligned, and again, I come back to my why. A matter of fact, I write my why almost 3 times a week because it's so easy to lose direction and focus on why it is that you're doing what you're doing. So it is something that I try to keep centered. No matter what my achievement is, I'm always grounded with it because it grounds me.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's great. But in saying that, it's great. It's a lot of responsibility, right? If there's a lot of families out there that if any one of our advisors that did them wrong, it comes back and to the organization, to myself, and that's not what we stand for. So it takes a lot of responsibility to deliver the value that we are. Ex-
Amazing. And Kirk, I'm going to tell you that one sentence that you said is the biggest takeaway I'm taking for myself. I mean, there are lots of nuggets in this, but writing the why 3 times a week, because it is so easy to go off and get distracted and come out of alignment. And I'm taking that. I'm taking that and I'm doing that. And thank you. Okay. Yeah.
you're
So,
welcome.
what's the biggest mistake that you've made in business?
Oh, I've made so many mistakes. So to say what the biggest one is, I must say hiring the wrong people, meaning, and that's in all categories, in the sense of advisor, um, staff, in business, it's for me, that's what it is. Because once you have the right people, then everything works. It's the wrong people that, for me, but my experience is that. And I would say not having a project or a plan, not an executed plan, but a plan, a well-written plan of what it is that you're going to do. So, and working it backwards, so whatever it is that you want to achieve is kind of like just doing it really fast and not doing it with any care. And then when you start finding out all the things that doesn't work, as opposed to planning for it. So, but for the biggest one, I mean, I make mistakes. I'm probably if you were supposed to tally up the amount of mistakes that a leader would make, I probably will win that award
Yeah, yeah.
because
Them all.
I do. But however, I'm able to adapt very quickly, and I'm able to give it up and to move on. But making mistakes or challenges that I take on, and it doesn't work out. But the biggest one would probably be partnering with the wrong individual, like hiring the wrong staff or the wrong advisor.
Yeah. How much do you think hiring the wrong people has cost you? Like, if you were to like put it all on, add it all up over your whole lifetime, not just this business, like everything. How much do you think it cost you?
Um, in a sense of time, I would say, in a sense of time, if I was supposed to put it in time years, in time, I would say maybe 15 years.
Ooh, that's painful.
Yeah,
That's painful.
yeah, 15 years. So, experience is a heck of a thing. That's why we're able to move. Like, it took me maybe 13 years to get to level one, and then 2 years to get to level 100.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like 50,
Curve, right? You're like,
cur 13
whoosh.
years of mistakes. And then the next 2 years, because I knew what to do, I was able to 100x the company versus what it took me to 30. So the only difference between the last two and the first 13 is that question, mistakes. I went left when I should have gone right. Sequencing. I should have gone left, but I had to do something before I go. Like, it's all these things. And being a I came to Canada from Jamaica, completed business school, started sales. So I didn't really have much experience in business. So everything I've learned in business is been experience.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so great. Every time I hear people, when I talk to business owners who are very successful, every time I hear their stories, I'm like, I am in the right place. I have made so many mistakes, and I'm still like, and I have a feeling for myself in the next 2 years, Kirk, it's going to be like you. It's like I'm now at the point where I'm ending all of that, and it's like things are just trajectory upwards.
And and 100%. I mean, every time that you feel like giving up, that's exactly when you should double down because you're right there for that breakthrough. And that's my experience as well. Like, even now, there are certain days, just like last week, I was like, oh, this is too hard. I can't do this anymore. And then you push through, and then 2 days ago we had probably one of the biggest deals. We're going to be onboarding a credit union. Last week it was like, I just can't be bothered anymore. So it's just pushing through, because that thought, is going, people who you surround yourself with, like, who are your 5 people that's closest to you, that's in your life. You got to take stock of that. Like, I change those people, and then everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, like, it's these things, we've heard about it a lot, but it's really true. And the reason is, if you speak to someone and they're not of the same mindset, they're the one that's putting those thoughts or encouraging those thoughts, that you have, versus when you're surrounding yourself with the right person, they'll knock you off that and go, what are you thinking? Stop
Exactly.
that. Here, let me pull you through, versus let me hold my hands. We're going to go down together.
Yeah, no, I don't want anybody bringing me down, and I don't want to hold down or hold on to any hands going down.
Exactly. And that's why you got to strategically choose the people that you're surround yourself with.
Yeah, it is strategic. It really is. I ended
Yeah.
up getting a business phone and a personal phone now, and like nobody has my personal number anymore. It's completely like I've just got my few key people. That's it.
Yes.
Um, And I met somebody recently, because the higher elevated people think differently, right? I met somebody recently who bought a hospital for $1. And I think about how people who are in wealth or business or who have achieved any level of success,
Yeah.
that's not uncommon for people who think in those kind of things. Whereas you talk to somebody who only has a few dollars and they could never imagine doing something like that. They're like, oh, I have to hold on to the little bit that I have, versus, well, how can I actually create an opportunity or a deal that I can help other people, because this person really helped people out of a bind, but she only put in $1 of her own money and had other people invest the rest.
Right.
And I just love being around people who do things like that. Like, she turned a $1 opportunity for herself into tens of millions of dollars.
Right. Right. And I think the key word that you used was imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Imagination is huge. It's the biggest thing. If you can't imagine, then it won't, you can't imagine. It just, you can't see it. So I think another thing is imagination. You just said it, it's not the money, it's the imagination. And the money is just a matter of how much value you're adding. So that's just, if somebody's not doing a lot financially, it just means that they're not adding a lot of value in the world
Yeah.
at their work. They could be an employee. How can you be the best? I don't know. It could be the lowest job, the best janitor. Just do it as best as you can, and then it's an attitude. Then you'll get on to the next thing. And go, and you'll get on to the next thing. A matter of fact, the president of one of my companies, Carte Wealth Management, is a female. Her name is Maria Flores. When I met her, she was from Humber College as a co-op student, and she didn't speak any English. So when I met with her, one of my advisors at the time hired her to do some work around the office. It's co-op, so there's no cost for it. He let her go within 2 hours because she couldn't speak English. And he goes, "You can't help me because you can't speak English, and it's so frustrating." Saw her leaving the office, and and she was disappointed and teary-eyed because she have tried many times to complete her co-op hours, to complete her course, and nobody would give her that opportunity. And all she wanted was to complete a few hours, 20 hours or so to complete her program. So I gave her the opportunity, and she had and all she was doing is scanning documents. That's it. All her job was to scan documents all day. And then she did it so well with passion. She sang. She was just so happy that she could get the opportunity to scan that nobody wanted to do. And then we says, now that we finished scanning, you have such a great attitude. What about if you help us with this? And then she did that same thing, best attitude. And then they says, I'm gonna hire a tutor, and I'm gonna bring them into the office, and your job for half the day is learn English. So she learned English. She did it. She took it. She learned English. And then a year later, I says, okay, I'm going to now have you start meeting with some of the clients because you're just amazing. Everything you do it with such passion and right attitude. And then she did that. And then she became an advisor. Then she became a branch manager. Then she became a compliance officer. Then she became the chief compliance officer. And now she is the president of Carte Wealth Management.
That's a fantastic story. Like, absolutely
13
fantastic.
years. Yeah. So
Yeah.
so this is what I'm saying earlier is whatever it doesn't matter the lowest job. All she wanted was the lowest job. Just give me something. Her attitude, brought her to the top. Now, as the president of Carte Wealth, she is the leader of many women's group. She's on the board of many bodies in the security world. She gives many talks on stage to hundreds of people. So it's like it all starts with your attitude and
Yeah.
your imagination.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And I can relate to that. I used to be a volunteer coordinator, and there was somebody also who didn't speak English, and he kept getting turned away. And he was in his own country. He was like phenomenal. He was a professor. He had no problem with things. He came here and he got rejected even from volunteer jobs so many years. It was 6 years, in fact, and he couldn't find any work. So his self-esteem was really low. But I made a point of working with him just a few minutes every day, practicing how to say R's and things. And within a few months, he ended up getting a job somewhere. He didn't like it, but a couple months after that, he found like his dream job, and he's been here. Like, the difference you can make for people, also, right? But he did a good job. He had his heart there, and that made
Yes.
me want to help him more.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so happy you found that person and that she found you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's many people like that at Carte. Most of my employees at Carte have a story. So it's like, it's been always my journey to find those opportunities. And that's how you build a great company, because the company is not, all our achievements for the company, it's not me. It's the people that work for the organization. Now it's me in a sense of the vision and the strategy and all that, but the people are the ones that makes the organization. They're the one that deliver the experience to the people we serve. When the phone rings, a reception picks it up. How is she? When there's a problem and our compliance officer gets involved, how are they dealing with that consumer? Our advisor, when they're seeing a client and they're, how are they? So it's the people. However, we create the right environment for those individuals to foster. And that's why one of the biggest mistakes is hiring the wrong people, because when they don't fit in that, then there's no harmony.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Culture, according to my mentor, culture eats strategy for breakfast. So
Yes.
it's like when you can create the right culture and make sure that the people that you bring in thrive in that culture,
Yes.
you can create anything. And you give credit to your team, right? You recognize it's not all you. You just got the vision. So that's amazing, amazing. So if there is, I'm going to ask you two questions to finish this interview off. The first question is, pick any word, and it can't be imagination. Okay, any word from A to Z that's going to make a difference for people in their lives. What word would it be?
Generosity.
Generosity. Okay. And why did you choose generosity?
Generosity, because we live in a world today that generosity is so little, and when I say generosity, I'm not just talking about giving. I'm talking about listening. I'm talking about, um, your thinking. I'm talking about, like, just being present with your being. Like, when somebody's speaking with you, just be with them for a little bit. The highest number of death, unfortunately, for ages between 12 and 30 is suicide. Like, I went to 3 funerals in the last 3 months or 4 months, and it's all suicide. And it's generosity. There's no one there to listen anymore, to hear the struggle that they're dealing with. We live almost like a fake life where everybody is trying to show their best picture, or so, without really getting to know that person on the inside, like really what's going on.
Mm.
So, that's the reason I choose that word, is because it takes something to be generous. When somebody's saying something, are you listening, or are you just looking for the wrong in what they're saying? Are you really looking for the message that you're trying to communicate? And it takes something to be generous with your listening.
It does. It does. And this brings me around also to what you mentioned earlier about knowing who you are. It's like with so many trying, like, our culture is now trying to be like other people. And I mean, even when it wasn't all internet, it's like I couldn't figure out who I was. Even still now, I'm in my 40s. I can't say that I totally know who I am now. I'm still on this adventure of discovering it. But it never used to be an adventure for me. It used to be like that was a hard, hard thing. So when you're talking about the suicide being a very common thing now, people don't have people to listen to them. People don't know that it's okay to not know who you are and not know what you want. It's like it's a journey, and I love the idea of generosity with your listening and with your time. You have totally touched my heart right now, Kirk. Okay, so thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
before we end, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted me to ask you?
Um, Nothing that comes to mind.
Okay, all right. You still have a minute, so if you think about it when I'm telling people about this opportunity that's coming up, you can
Sure.
let me know. All right. So just for anybody watching this show, we have an event every month on the first Tuesday of every month from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern. And it's the Creative Collaboration Summit. You can get to it at wheredreamsconnect.com. And the whole purpose of it is to be generous to each other by being there, listening for what people are looking for to bring their own projects together and their own dreams and goals, and then helping to support them with the things that you can. Okay. So if you're somebody who's a creator, you're working on any goal or project, whether personal or business, passion, nonprofit, come on out. It's a nice, safe, judgment-free zone that you can really share where you're at, and people will listen generously and contribute ideas, resources, connections, things like that. So come on out. Okay. And I'm just going to share your website again, cartefinancial.com. So if you're Canadian, you want to find ways to increase your financial wealth. Wonderful company, #1 in Canada. So check that out. Okay. Thank you so much for your time today, Kirk.
Great. Well, thank you.
This was
great.
amazing. Thank you.